I don't think it, yeah, I think that the problem is so huge, there's going to have to be some rationalisation. I think that's the only way to do it. I mean, I don't know how many buildings in Tararua, but it'd be 90 maybe that are go prone, and if you multiply 20, 30 grand, pretty big cost, isn't it? That's just full engineering reports. Some of the buildings should be pulled down. Actually, I think leave.
Sorry.
Tax deductible agreements.
Yeah.
And I think too, as each submitter gets a written response, and I think in some of Susan's, actually I'd really like to work with her and with Manawatu District in shaping what that looks like for rural New Zealand, because those are really key. I mean, you know, I spoke to Minister Patterson around this. They're all acutely aware. You know, we have the same standards as what they do in Wellington. We don't have the population. It was actually around the safety of people. So I'd like to do some continued work with
I
you.
just want to make sure people can't wait to create
Solution.
there's actually knowledge that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
also needs to be pointed out that would have to be district wide as well. She talked to Annie, but you know, Aotearoa's got a heap of them. Woodfall's probably got a heap of them as well. Oh, you haven't? Oh, you're a bit lucky.
Councillor Woods, that was your only one at the moment.
I had one list, but everyone else to talk about it.
Councillor Wallace.
You know, Brian answered the question in his second reply, so very good work, Brian.
Just my last one, Mayor Tracy, really, it was just going back to the pool. The pool is obviously probably a strongly contested item in our long-term plan and costly, so don't need Sarah to answer at the moment, but the rates impact shown is $53 per ratepayer here, and I'm over an average of 10 years, and I wasn't sure whether we estimated appreciation there or assessed pool management costs, but that's okay. I can live with that. I think if we were to agree to the option, that's what I think we need around here. I think if we would agree to the option as a governance group, I'd have to think, where could we save $50, $40 per ratepayer ongoing? I think if we came up with something, said, right, we're going with that. That's not going to cost anyone any money because we're going to do this. That might be some compensatory savings. So a lot of money to compensate. Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, I think we'll be evenly balanced on this issue, and it's such a big cost. Jim Crispin put it in one direction, and all the Paitoa people, the 300 of them, put another slant on this. But I think if we could sell this sizzle and have some savings, that's all. Say no.
Let's go to Brian for one comment and I'll come to Scott.
So just to clarify on that one, I think that was slightly different to Councillor Scott though, because you're talking about the capital work program.
Or
Because that's, sorry.
More the through medication. I think capital works, we've got a $2.5 million over a couple of years, and it's a debt cap and everything else, so worry. But the operational costs, if we take it on board, could be quite considerable. And that to me, that could be 300-400 grand a year. Same as installation.
But that's year 2.
It's still cost.
Yeah, but it's, yeah.
Let's wait and see what.
See what the thing.
Yeah, and that works coming back. Councillor Gilmore.
Thanks very much, Mayor Tracy. I forgot to mention it when we were running through another quite minor thing, and it was just on the submissions that we've already received. Noting actually, there's been some support around the district. Item Danny Burke Community Board being one, but this may be through you, Mayor Tracy, to Ali, just double checking Rangatane changed 2 of their options from their written one to their verbal, just making sure that in your report that'll be captured.
Sorry, Raj, yep.
Carrie's point, just confirm it, Sarah. I just want to make sure it's clear. The preferred option in the LTP is the Paito swimming pool. We have already included in year 2 onwards the operational cost of running the pool.
$53, right?
Yes,
Right.
it's the average over the 10 years, the 53.
It's already included in the LTP.
I appreciate that. So just and is that some assessment for depreciation renewal and some assessment for pool running costs? Too? Based on that assessment, based on existing, which was 21. Thank you. That's encouraging.
Yeah, that is very encouraging, but I've then got to ask the question, that's costing $53. This is costing $1,000 a day. Something doesn't compute. Yeah, exactly. That's even less per person. It doesn't add up, does it? Something fundamentally.
But you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
The other, I had a couple here. So we also put Birch North Forest onto the list. That was under discussion there. Is there any when do you have that discussion around where those proceeds or how you're going to come back? So we've informed the community that it's on the market. Does that come back to?
Sarah, we've been discussing the auditors, so I believe I heard, if I'm not wrong, I heard from the councillors that the preferred option for the proceeds go towards debt repayment. So that's what we'll put into the LTP as reducing debt. We will not put anything in regards to the reserve. I'd rather bring a paper in front of council and talk about what we want to do with the forestry reserves. But in terms of, I got clarity, correct me if I'm wrong, I got clarity towards debt repayment. Year 2.
Yeah, you won.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one is there's at least 3 that have come in and talked about climate change, and it's something that I'm aware we don't have a strategy, we don't have, too much there. I guess, what are the options or what could you offer there, Brian, so that we've actually got some goals or something going forward, no work, and I don't want to put any more work on, but actually we can't continue to kick this down the road either. Scott's probably got.
Just while you're thinking, mine is just very, very quick, and I may be mistaken, but I thought we made a pretty conscious decision as we went through this process to be looking at adaptation rather than mitigation, and that was because of the amount of work we had to do following the cyclone. If we didn't have the cyclone, we might have been in a bit of a different position. I've been asked.
So I guess it's helpful. Yeah, is that.
Yeah, I would not advocate personally that we make a significant pivot within there.
No, it wasn't asking to pivot. It's just obviously to have people coming to us. We have made what we're doing very clear.
Interweave.
Yeah. Okay. Brian.
Right, through me, Tracy, just quickly. So even Peter Wimsett in his new role still has an element of climate change, a smaller portion than he's probably emphasising that word, Peter, than maybe what he's previously had, but we still got Peter overseeing that, and I think the commitment was, and we haven't got there yet, was exactly what Councillor Scott said there, was that how we interweave it into our everyday life. And I think just what you said then as well, me, Tracy, a lot of the adaptation stuff we're doing through our infrastructure probably could be highlighted and aligned with some of those climate change goals.
And that might just be linking it through. I think we did talk about this in the Infrastructure, Climate Change and Emergency Management Committee, or in our papers, just having what the impact was to the climate. Yeah. Councillor Johns.
My feeling is that the people that are focusing on climate change are asking the question, why aren't we going electric with everything? Why have we still got petrol vehicles and those sorts of things, rather than how prepared are we in case there's another Gabrielle or something like that. I think they're more focused on going green, basically. Yeah.
I think it was just that people couldn't see what we were doing. I didn't see anything here, so it was just we bring it to the forefront that we are doing things. I'm quite happy with that.
Stop all that stuff coming.
Okay. Right, council awards, did you have anything else on your list? No?
No, you don't want me to react to it.
No, I wasn't asking for a comment, I was moving on. Okay. Councillor Petty Weber, anything further? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Gilmore, Councillor Wallace,
And see what the baby is.
Yes, it's fine.
you all need a text message.
What a name, isn't it?
Councillor Johns. Franklin. And nothing further from Councillor Chase.
Sorry, I will be in contact with Steve.
Yeah. Okay, so the recommendation on page 9 is to receive the report, and 1.2 that the Finance and Performance Committee provide direction to officers on matters to be considered at the Finance and Performance Committee meeting scheduled for the 19th of June as follows. Do you want to hear everything that Alice? Was that what you're going to ask for? I think I'd actually just like to hear that everything is captured. I do fully have confidence in Ellie, but I don't want anything on the day to say actually that we asked for that.
Go into the full details of basically what we fully just let's say there's rates. Rate smoothing, Pahia Tour Pool, National Land Transport Program, separating out economic development from the contestable fund, so we consider those two items separately. Differential roading rates, non-contiguous properties. You didn't want any more information on town centre. Noted that we're actually currently working on the cemeteries, bringing back something new on that. Impact on headroom if we don't fund the swimming pool. Then we need a clarification from Councillor Chase on what she meant with her no rate smoothing, how that would look, and debt repayment, what that actually means, or are they two separate things? Yeah. Were we looking at taking out any other loans? Our status with the Pukaha loan and the cost to us of the recommendations that they brought in front of us today. What our climate change infrastructure budget could look like if we don't do whatever RRD stands for, so we need to know what that means. And we took off the 1 rating unit per house. That was, yeah, respond separately. There was a question about the cost of doing the smoke-free, vape-free environment policy, but we just noted that officers were just in the meeting to find out from them next month, I think it is, about what that policy could look like. So probably outside of this process. Whether there was budget for the maintenance for the Dannybeck walkway and what that looked like. We talked about possible reduction of fee for the companion dogs, but we noticed that the dog control fees are already set for this year because they follow a different timing through legislation. So we could bring that back for annual plan next year, or for dog fee consideration next year. Commercial building situation of the Lee building in Woodville. A review of the Woodville campground deposit. Yeah, but that's right. We said we'd take that to through the committees. Yeah. Review of the Woodville campground deposit for the key. There was a request to bring back information on ways to cut costs. And that should be a specific, report from Brian on that. Potential ways to make reduction to operational expenditure. More of that. Some information on possible ways we could assist our earthquake-prone building owners. Climate change. Noting we don't currently have a strategy, but how would we weave that into everyday life and show alignment of our activities against the goals for climate reduction? And also to remembering to capture the change on two of the items put forward by Rangatane in our final reports of the stats line up.
Before we go, is that enough direction, Brian and Raj?
Yes, we're going through, but are you comfortable with everything that you've got there? Have you got any further questions that you need clarification from us on what you're bringing back?
Richard, thank you. Yes, I've taken some notes. No, I've got some really good clarity and that really help myself and Ellie. Ellie is doing most of the work in writing the reports, but gives us really good clarity. Gives us really good clarity on information that we need to include in so that you can make informed decision. I've just been, if you can, Triwashi, I've just been reflecting, I guess, while you're talking about the requests from Councillor Scott, and Brian replied really well. And I need to think about a little bit more as to what would be included in the report. And Brian is right in the sense that, remember, we went down a path of unaudited, and auditors are coming in on the 24th to do. One of the questions you asked me directly and Brian as part of the report is, can we pass audit and have it adopted 31st in August, 31st in July, not trigger Section 50 of the Rating Act? And we said yes. So I need to think about what that request means, because whether potentially we are looking to change without consultation, change in plating level of service, given that we have unaudited CD as the part that we do. So I need to think about the implications and impact of that, of the whole process for us to get clearance. So I think I'll wait till I work with Brian or work with the leadership team in pulling that together and what that means. I'm concerned if, let's say, we were to make significant changes, and then I run a risk of that, then my answer to that might be a bit different. But I think let me do that work with Brian and the team.
I think overall, I think that direction's been really, really good, and it's sort of given us something we can go away and work on. There is a fair amount of work between now and Friday, so I'm going to think about clearing my diary. And luckily, I'm not at the National CE meeting tomorrow or at the Infrastructure Symposium, but no, I think that was very good direction, and it's good to get that so we know what we can. What we need to do between now and then, it's really clear, and just, you know, I guess the commitment to what you're saying, Scott, and I understand it, and we understand why. We don't want to be barriers to that, but obviously we've got to look at what we can and can't do within the law of what we operate in. But what you do have a commitment from us is to continue to look for efficiencies, continue to look at ways of doing things better and smarter, and hopefully, you know, try and reduce that impact on our ratepayers as much as possible.
We'll just see what you come up with.
Thank you, councillors. That's been a huge couple of days, but actually it's really good to hear from the community and get their input, and then I look forward to the deliberations. We've got some tough decisions to make going forward. So thank you very much for the last 2 days in the chamber, and I know that we've got more to come. It's been a huge commitment getting through this whole 2 things. I will close us with our district whakatauaki. Let the winds of the Ruahine and Tararua give you strength. Let the waters of the Manawatu nourish you, for we are the Pounamu of Te Tāpiri Nui o Whātonga. Kia ora. And hopefully,